Beauty is timeless, but how we define it has changed dramatically over centuries. From the intricate hairstyles of ancient China to the delicate tattoos of Japan, ancient Asian beauty standards tell fascinating stories about culture, class, and aesthetics. Today, we're diving deep into the beauty ideals that shaped Asia thousands of years ago. Are you ready to discover a beauty that's truly timeless? In this video, we'll explore the ancient beauty standards across different regions of Asia: China, Japan, India, and Korea. Each of these cultures has its own unique set of ideals that were shaped by their history, religion, and societal norms. These beauty standards weren't just about appearance. They were deeply intertwined with class, gender roles, and even spirituality. Whether it's the intricate body modifications in Japan, the pale skin and foot binding traditions in China, or the glowing complexion ideals in India, the diversity of beauty across Asia is both fascinating and eye-opening. In the coming minutes, we'll uncover how these beauty ideals were not just about physical attraction, but also about cultural identity, power, and sometimes, social status. We'll dive into everything, from the clothing and makeup to the extreme measures of beauty like body modification and foot binding. By the end of this video, you'll see how beauty in ancient Asia wasn't just skin-deep but tied to the very essence of each civilization's soul. Let's get started. In ancient China, beauty was closely linked to the concepts of refinement, modesty, and grace, deeply rooted in Confucian ideals. The standards of beauty were not only about how one looked but how one embodied these values. The ideal woman was seen as delicate and demure, and her beauty was a reflection of her inner virtue. Facial features, therefore, held great significance in portraying these qualities. Women were expected to have an oval face, smooth, flawless skin, and a gentle, serene expression. These were all signs of nobility, purity, and femininity. A small, well-shaped nose was considered a hallmark of beauty, as it suggested elegance and balance. Large eyes, wide-set and with an almond shape, symbolized intelligence and grace, making them highly desirable. The belief in pale skin was particularly significant in ancient China. A pale complexion symbolized nobility and class, and this ideal was widely embraced throughout history. The reason behind this preference was rooted in social class. Those with lighter skin were seen as members of the elite, while those who worked outdoors, such as farmers, would often have darker skin. To have pale skin was a sign that one did not have to labor under the sun, a mark of wealth, status, and refinement. The obsession with pale skin could be seen in the use of powdered white lead, which women applied to their faces and bodies to achieve the desired porcelain look. This skin care practice wasn't just cosmetic, it was also a cultural statement, a way of showcasing one's social standing. In essence, beauty in ancient China was intricately tied to one's social identity. A woman's appearance was a reflection of her upbringing, education, and role in society. These beauty ideals, while superficially focused on features, also carried a deeper meaning that reflected cultural values of modesty, refinement, and social hierarchy. One of the most extreme and enduring beauty practices in ancient China was foot binding, a custom that started during the Tang dynasty and lasted for over 1,000 years. This practice, which was performed on young girls, became a symbol of femininity, refinement, and social status. It was believed that small feet were beautiful and a mark of elegance. The goal of foot binding was to create the lotus foot, a small, arched foot that would ideally measure no more than 3 inches long. This was achieved by tightly binding the feet of young girls, breaking the bones and forcing the toes to curl under the sole of the foot, and the foot to deform into a small, pointed shape. Foot binding was not just a beauty ritual. It became deeply embedded in Chinese culture as a symbol of social standing. Small feet were associated with delicate femininity, and women with bound feet were often considered more marriageable. The practice became a mark of wealth, as only women from higher social classes could afford to have their feet bound, and it was considered a status symbol that set them apart from laborers or lower-class women. Foot binding also symbolized the control that men and society had over women's bodies, as the process was painful and severely restricted women's mobility. It limited their ability to walk long distances, making them dependent on others for transportation and confining them to domestic spaces. While this practice was prevalent for over 1,000 years, it wasn't without its controversy. Over time, as the social structure and views on women's rights began to evolve, foot binding faced growing criticism, with some viewing it as barbaric and oppressive. The practice was officially banned in the early 20th century, but its impact on Chinese beauty ideals has remained a significant part of history. In ancient China, hairstyles were more than just a way to tame hair. They were a sign of a person's social status and cultural identity. Women often wore elaborate updos, and their hair was styled with intricate combs, pins, and decorative pieces. The beauty of a woman's hair was closely tied to her overall sense of grace and femininity. Women from wealthier families used luxurious materials like jade, gold, and silk to fashion their hair accessories, which were often ornately carved and featured symbolic motifs like flowers, birds, or mythical creatures. The higher the status of the woman, the more elaborate and intricate her hairstyle was. Hairstyles could also indicate a woman's marital status. Unmarried women would wear their hair in a specific style, while married women wore their hair in a different arrangement to symbolize their new role and commitments. For men in ancient China, the top knot was a key feature of their appearance. It was more than just a hairstyle. It symbolized maturity, wisdom, and high status. Men of higher social rank, particularly those who held government positions or had noble heritage, wore their hair in a top knot, which signified their authority and wisdom. The top knot was often secured with a hairpin or a ribbon, and it was a mark of a well-groomed, educated man. Similarly to women's hairstyles, men's hair could tell a story of their status, social position, and role in society. Fashion was also an important aspect of beauty in ancient China, and clothing, especially among the elite, was a way to display wealth and prestige. Silk, a fabric associated with nobility, was worn by the upper classes, and garments were often embroidered with symbols of power and good fortune, like dragons, phoenixes, and clouds. For women, the qipao, a form-fitting silk dress, would later become a defining symbol of beauty and style in Chinese culture, though it evolved over time. The embroidery on clothing was often done by hand and could feature highly detailed, colorful designs. These embroidered garments symbolized status, while also demonstrating the wearer's connection to traditional Chinese craftsmanship and artistry. The way individuals dressed, styled their hair, and adorned themselves with accessories in ancient China was a reflection of their cultural values. Beauty wasn't just about appearance. It was also a method of communicating social position, wealth, and societal roles. In Japan, the image of the geisha has come to represent the pinnacle of traditional beauty, symbolizing grace, elegance, and cultural refinement. A geisha's beauty was not simply about her appearance. It was an embodiment of skill, artistry, and poise. Known for their expertise in music, dance, and conversation, geishas were highly respected figures in Japanese society. Their beauty was carefully curated through rituals and practices that highlighted their cultural sophistication. One of the most striking features of a geisha's beauty was their face, which was often painted with a distinctive white makeup known as ashuroi. This thick white paste covered the entire face, leaving the neck and chest exposed, creating a stark contrast against the rest of the body. The white face symbolized purity and elegance. Red and black accents were applied around the eyes and eyebrows, with a bold red line for the lips. The lips were often drawn into a heart shape, further enhancing the femininity and delicate features of the face. This highly stylized makeup not only signified beauty but also created an otherworldly, ethereal appearance that was admired in the Japanese cultural context. Another essential aspect of geisha beauty was their hair, which was typically styled in intricate updos. Black lacquered hair was combed into elaborate shapes, often adorned with decorative combs, ribbons, and flowers. The use of kanzashi, hair ornaments, was a key feature of a geisha's ensemble, with each ornament symbolizing different aspects of Japanese culture, such as seasons, emotions, or elements of nature. The hair was often styled in a way that suggested maturity, elegance, and the wearer's status as a skilled geisha. This elaborate hairstyling process took hours, making it a practice that conveyed the importance of maintaining tradition, artistry, and grace. The attire of a geisha, often the kimono, further reflected her elevated status and beauty. These garments were rich in color and decoration, each design chosen to reflect the season or occasion. Kimonos were expensive, made from luxurious fabrics like silk, and intricately embroidered with symbols such as flowers, birds, and waves. The kimono's tight waist and flowing sleeves were a visual representation of modesty, which was another central component of beauty in Japan. Irizumi refers to the traditional Japanese art of tattooing, a practice that has deep historical roots in Japanese culture. The tattoos often featured elaborate designs such as dragons, koi fish, tigers, peonies, and other symbols that represented power, beauty, and resilience. Dragons, for example, symbolized strength and protection, while koi fish were associated with perseverance and transformation, as they were believed to swim upstream and eventually transform into dragons. These designs were not just for beauty, they were a reflection of the wearer's identity, values, and place in society. While tattoos were still largely associated with the underworld during certain periods of history, they began to be embraced as symbols of artistic beauty and spiritual power within specific subcultures. The intricate designs and detailed work required for Irizumi made the tattoos valuable as an art form. Today, tattoos in Japan have become more mainstream, though they still carry connotations of rebellion and individuality, especially among those who choose to incorporate the old Irizumi style into their personal expression. Thus, tattoos in Japan shifted from being a symbol of criminality to a form of beauty that showcases resilience, cultural pride, and personal expression. The detailed artwork and vibrant colors used in these tattoos turned the human body into a canvas, creating something visually stunning and culturally significant. The ideal facial features in ancient Japan were traditionally defined by smooth, pale skin, high cheekbones, and sharp, almond-shaped eyes. Pale skin was a mark of nobility and beauty, much as it was in ancient China. In Japan, pale skin was associated with the aristocracy and the refined lifestyle of those who didn't have to work outdoors. It also symbolized purity and delicacy, making it highly prized in both men and women. To achieve this ideal complexion, women would often use rice powder and other pale powders to lighten their skin, reinforcing the cultural association between fairness and beauty. In addition to pale skin, sharp eyes with a slight upward slant were highly desirable, as they were considered a symbol of strength and intelligence. A smooth, oval face with high cheekbones was seen as the epitome of grace and beauty. Women, especially, would highlight their cheekbones with subtle makeup to accentuate this ideal. In fact, facial symmetry and the balance between the various features were considered essential for attaining the standard of beauty. These beauty ideals were not just about outward appearance but were closely linked to cultural perceptions of class, status, and inner virtue. The beauty standards of ancient Japan also placed emphasis on modesty and restraint. Women were encouraged to exhibit a calm, gentle demeanor, and their beauty was to be understated rather than flashy. The quiet elegance that defined traditional Japanese beauty was reflected in the soft features that were considered ideal. A woman's appearance should evoke a sense of grace and poise, making her beauty not just about her facial features but about how she carried herself. Thus, beauty in ancient Japan was a combination of physical features and the way a person embodied cultural virtues. The pale skin, sharp eyes, and smooth face were outward manifestations of the inner qualities of nobility, grace, and refinement that were central to the Japanese ideal of beauty. In ancient India, beauty was deeply intertwined with the concepts of purity, balance, and well-being. A glowing, radiant complexion was seen not only as a sign of physical beauty, but also as an indicator of good health and moral virtue. The ideal woman was envisioned as someone who possessed both inner and outer beauty. Her physical form and her character were equally important. A well-proportioned body and radiant skin were the primary markers of beauty in ancient Indian society. In fact, beauty was considered a reflection of harmony within the body, a balance between the mind, body, and soul. To maintain this glowing complexion, women in ancient India turned to natural remedies that have since become a key part of the region's beauty culture. One of the most widely used ingredients was turmeric, which was believed to cleanse and purify the skin. Turmeric has anti-inflammatory and antibacterial properties, making it a common ingredient in skincare regimens even today. It was often mixed with other substances such as milk or honey to create face masks and body scrubs, which would brighten the skin and protect it from the harsh sun. Another staple of ancient Indian skincare was sandalwood, prized for its soothing and cooling properties. Sandalwood was used in the form of pastes and oils, applied to the skin to treat various skin ailments, reduce inflammation, and enhance complexion. The fragrance of sandalwood was also believed to have a calming effect on the mind, symbolizing peace and spiritual balance. Oils, such as coconut oil and sesame oil, were also used to moisturize and nourish the skin. These oils were rich in vitamins and minerals, providing deep hydration while leaving the skin feeling soft and supple. The tradition of using herbal beauty treatments, passed down through generations, continues to thrive in India today, with natural products playing an essential role in modern skincare routines. In ancient India, beauty was viewed holistically. A woman's appearance was an outward manifestation of her internal health and moral standing. The tradition of using natural skincare products was an essential part of maintaining balance and purity, both inside and out, making skincare an act of self-care and spiritual alignment. In ancient India, jewelry was not just an ornament. It was a symbol of beauty, wealth, and social status. It played a vital role in a woman's appearance, and the kind of jewelry she wore communicated important details about her identity, her wealth, her marital status, and her cultural background. Jewelry in ancient India was crafted with great intricacy and care, often using precious metals like gold, silver, and gems like diamonds, rubies, and emeralds. One of the most iconic and important pieces of jewelry in ancient Indian culture was the nath or nose ring. This adornment was worn by women, often as a symbol of marriage, and it was intricately designed, frequently featuring delicate chains that connected the ring to the ear or the hair. Nose rings were considered a symbol of beauty and femininity, enhancing the face and often reflecting a woman's social and marital status. It was also believed to have spiritual significance, connecting the wearer to the divine. Ear cuffs and piles, anklets, were other essential elements of a woman's jewelry collection. Anklets, often adorned with bells, were believed to bring good fortune and symbolize femininity. The jingling sound of the bells as a woman walked was considered a sign of her grace and elegance. Similarly, intricate ear cuffs were worn to accentuate the ears and to signal a woman's wealth and elegance. Jewelry was also used to decorate other parts of the body, like the wrists, ankles, and neck, completing the look of a well-adorned and elegant woman. The bindi, a small decorative dot placed on the forehead, was another crucial part of beauty in ancient India. The bindi held deep spiritual meaning, often symbolizing the third eye, or the seat of wisdom and consciousness. While it was a part of women's daily beauty routines, the bindi also served as a sign of marriage, particularly for Hindu women. The bindi was traditionally made from red powder, but over time, it evolved into a decorative mark in various colors and designs, becoming a highly recognizable aspect of Indian beauty and culture. Jewelry in ancient India was a reflection of a woman's status and identity, as well as her connection to cultural and spiritual values. It was a powerful tool for enhancing beauty, but also a means of signaling one's role within society and the cosmic order. Body modifications were an important aspect of ancient Indian beauty standards, as they were not only seen as a means of enhancing physical appearance but also as symbols of personal identity, social status, and spiritual devotion. Tattoos, in particular, were used for a variety of purposes in ancient India, often marking an individual's social class, religious affiliation, or specific rites of passage. Tattoos were commonly used by women, especially in tribal and rural communities, to signify beauty, strength, and protection. Certain symbols, such as flowers, animals, and geometric patterns, were believed to bring spiritual power and protect the wearer from evil forces. Tattoos were often applied to the hands, arms, and face, becoming a significant part of a woman's physical expression and identity. The practice was considered both an aesthetic choice and a spiritual ritual. Additionally, some cultures in ancient India practiced scarification as a form of body modification. Scarification involved creating deliberate, intricate cuts on the skin to form patterns and designs. These markings were seen as signs of beauty, power, and resilience. Scarification was not only used for aesthetic purposes but also to symbolize spiritual transformation or rites of passage, particularly in certain tribal and warrior communities. The process was often painful, yet it was revered as a rite that marked an individual as part of a higher spiritual or social group. The beauty standards of ancient India, therefore, were not solely based on what one wore or how one appeared in the moment, but were deeply tied to personal identity, spiritual beliefs, and social status. Body modifications, whether through tattoos or scarification, were not simply a means of beautification. They were transformative acts that connected the individual to their community, their culture, and their spiritual beliefs. In ancient Korea, beauty was deeply intertwined with the concept of purity, virtue, and social status. A pale complexion was considered one of the most important physical traits for both men and women, but particularly for women. Pale skin symbolized the ideal of leisure and privilege. Those who had pale skin were believed to have lived a life sheltered from the harsh outdoor environment. This was in stark contrast to the working class, who often had darker skin from spending long hours under the sun. As a result, fair skin was associated with wealth, nobility, and a life of refinement, free from manual labor. In ancient Korea, the desire for pale skin led to the widespread use of various beauty products. One of the most popular was bakeseal, a powder made from rice flour or finely ground white minerals. This powder was applied to the face and body to achieve the desired porcelain complexion. The idea was to create an immaculate, almost ethereal look, where the skin appeared smooth, flawless, and untouched by the sun's harsh rays. This ideal of paleness was so deeply ingrained in Korean beauty standards that it became a symbol of high social status and cultural sophistication. Women would often use bakeseal not only to lighten their faces but also to cover any imperfections, contributing to the ideal of smooth, blemish-free skin. The emphasis on pale skin also influenced the way people perceived beauty beyond just aesthetics. It was closely linked to moral and social values, where fair skin was seen as a reflection of purity, refinement, and the superior social standing of the wearer. In fact, these beauty standards were so entrenched that pale skin was an indicator of high status, and many women of lower status would go to great lengths to lighten their skin to fit the beauty ideal. In ancient Korea, hairstyles played a significant role in defining beauty and social status. For noblewomen, particularly those belonging to the Yongban class, elaborate hairstyles were an essential part of their beauty rituals. The Yongban were the elite, the scholarly and aristocratic class, and their hairstyles were designed to reflect their high social standing and refined sensibilities. These intricate hairstyles often featured a combination of braids, twists, and knots, secured with decorative combs and hairpins made from precious materials like gold, jade, or tortoiseshell. The hair itself was often styled in a bun at the top of the head, with delicate strands framing the face, creating a sense of dignity and elegance. A particularly notable hairstyle was the chungdae, a formal updo worn by married women, which was accompanied by decorative pins called binnyo. The binnyo was not only a hair accessory but also a symbol of the wearer's marital status. The complexity of the hairstyle indicated the woman's social class, with higher status women wearing more intricate and adorned styles. In contrast, commoners would wear simpler hairstyles, reflecting their more modest status. Clothing, too, played an integral role in Korean beauty ideals. The traditional hanbok was a beautifully crafted garment that reflected Korean aesthetic values. The hanbok consisted of two main parts: the jeogori, a short jacket, and the chima, a full skirt that was worn high at the waist. The hanbok was often made of silk and featured bright, vivid colors, with various symbolic motifs embroidered into the fabric. The colors and design of the hanbok not only showcased the wearer's taste but also signified their social status and wealth. Noblewomen, for example, would wear more elaborate and luxurious hanboks with intricate embroidery, while simpler versions were worn by those of lower status. The hanbok was designed to be loose and flowing, emphasizing the grace and elegance of the wearer. It was meant to create a beautiful silhouette, with the skirt's fullness and the tight waistline of the geoghery accentuating the figure. This style of dress reflected a society that valued modesty, grace, and the quiet beauty of movement. While the hanbok was traditional, it also adhered to the beauty standards of the time, allowing women to showcase their femininity and elegance in a modest and refined manner. In ancient Korea, beauty ideals extended beyond just facial features and attire. It was also about the body. A woman's body shape was crucial to her overall beauty and social standing. The ideal figure was slim, with a distinct hourglass shape that emphasized both modesty and femininity. This ideal body shape was not only linked to beauty but also reflected the cultural values of balance and harmony. To achieve this ideal body shape, women in ancient Korea often wore tight-fitting undergarments and the traditional geoghery and chima to accentuate their figures. The geoghery, the upper part of the hanbok, was often designed to fit snugly around the chest and shoulders, creating a defined upper body. The chima, the skirt portion of the hanbok, was worn high at the waist to elongate the torso and create a flowing, graceful silhouette. These garments were intended to emphasize the natural curves of the body while maintaining modesty. The tight waistline and full skirt helped create the appearance of a small waist and an overall feminine, curvaceous figure, which was considered the height of beauty. However, the ideal body shape in ancient Korea was not just about appearance, it was also about how a woman carried herself. Graceful posture, smooth movements, and elegant gestures were all part of the beauty ideal. The way a woman moved in her hanbok, with its flowing fabric and intricate design, was seen as a reflection of her inner grace and poise. The emphasis on a slender figure and the elegant presentation of the body was a visual representation of a society that valued harmony, refinement, and elegance. The beauty ideal in ancient Korea also played a role in shaping how women viewed their own bodies. Beauty standards were inextricably tied to one's social standing and moral character. A woman's appearance was seen as an outward reflection of her inner qualities, such as modesty, grace, and self-discipline. Thus, achieving the ideal body shape wasn't just about following physical beauty standards, it was about embodying cultural values and societal expectations of femininity. In many Asian cultures, beauty was deeply intertwined with spirituality, where the outer appearance was often seen as a reflection of inner virtues. One of the most profound influences on beauty standards in Asia was Buddhism, which spread across vast parts of the continent, including Thailand, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, and regions of China and Japan. Buddhism emphasized the idea that true beauty emanates from within, and that qualities like compassion, wisdom, and selflessness were more important than physical appearance. These principles shaped the beauty ideals in these cultures, where inner beauty, linked to one's character, was considered just as significant as outward attractiveness. Buddhist beauty standards were largely shaped by the teachings of simplicity, humility, and detachment from materialism. In countries like Thailand and Sri Lanka, where Buddhism has had a profound impact, beauty was seen not as an expression of vanity but as a manifestation of one's moral and spiritual development. The Buddhist ideal of beauty focused on the cultivation of virtues such as kindness, compassion, and equanimity. These virtues were believed to radiate outward, creating a kind of inner glow that transcended superficial features. Monastic beauty ideals, as observed in Buddhist monastic communities, also reflected this spiritual approach to beauty. Buddhist monks and nuns adhered to a simple and modest lifestyle, which included a simple appearance. For example, the shaving of the head was a symbolic act of renouncing vanity and attachment to the material world. The robes they wore were plain and unadorned, further emphasizing humility over extravagance. This aesthetic simplicity mirrored the deeper belief that true beauty is found in spiritual purity, and the act of cultivating inner peace and wisdom was seen as the path to true attractiveness. This focus on inner beauty and modesty in Buddhist cultures was particularly significant in contrast to beauty standards that celebrated material wealth and physical perfection. Buddhism offered an alternative view that beauty was not something to be flaunted, but something to be cultivated from within, through personal growth and moral character. The radiance of a compassionate, wise, and humble person was, in many ways, the highest form of beauty according to Buddhist philosophy. As societies evolved, so too did their beauty standards. The influence of Buddhism and other spiritual teachings played a significant role in shaping beauty ideals in Asia for centuries, emphasizing modesty, simplicity, and inner virtue. However, as Asian societies entered the modern era, beauty standards began to shift significantly due to the influence of Western culture, especially during periods of colonialism, globalization, and modernization. Western ideals of beauty, such as fair skin, slim figures, and certain facial features, began to permeate Asian societies, leading to the gradual adoption of new beauty norms. In many parts of Asia today, the globalization of beauty standards is evident. The Western influence of fashion trends, makeup, and celebrity culture has altered traditional ideals, placing a higher value on outward appearances and material expressions of beauty. For example, cosmetic surgeries, particularly for facial features like eyelid surgery, double eyelid surgery, and nose reshaping, have become increasingly common in countries like South Korea, Japan, and China, reflecting the desire to conform to global beauty trends that emphasize specific facial structures. Despite these shifts, the connection between beauty, status, and spirituality still plays an important role in many Asian cultures. For example, in countries like Thailand and Sri Lanka, the Buddhist concept of beauty that is rooted in inner purity and compassion continues to influence social expectations, even if modern beauty trends are also prominent. In more traditional and rural areas, the beauty ideals of simplicity and modesty are still maintained, and people value natural beauty, humility, and inner peace over extravagant displays of wealth or perfection. Even within the realm of modern beauty, there is still a growing movement towards embracing holistic beauty standards, which combine both internal and external beauty. People are starting to focus on self-care, wellness, and mindfulness as part of the beauty process, rather than solely relying on superficial features. Yoga, meditation, and mindfulness have become an integral part of contemporary beauty routines in many parts of Asia, reinforcing the idea that true beauty is not just about outward appearance but about cultivating peace and balance within. In conclusion, while Western beauty ideals have made their mark on many parts of Asia, the connection between beauty, spirituality, and status remains deeply rooted in the cultural traditions of the region. As beauty standards continue to evolve, there remains an ongoing tension between embracing modern ideals and holding on to the spiritual and modest beauty practices that have been passed down for centuries. From foot binding in China to the painted faces of the geisha in Japan, ancient Asian beauty standards offer a window into the history and cultures of some of the world's most fascinating civilizations. These beauty practices weren't just about physical appearance. They were symbols of social status, spiritual beliefs, and cultural values. While some of these practices, like foot binding, have been abandoned, others, such as the use of makeup and intricate clothing, continue to shape the cultures of Asia today. What stands out most is how beauty ideals in ancient Asia were deeply intertwined with personal identity, morality, and social order. These ideals reflect the power of beauty to convey far more than just attraction. It's a powerful expression of culture, tradition, and even spirituality. As we've seen, beauty is not only skin-deep, it carries profound significance, connecting the past to the present. If you found this exploration of ancient Asian beauty fascinating, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights into the timeless beauty traditions that continue to shape the world. Drop a comment below and let me know which beauty practice or ideal you found the most intriguing, and if you'd like to learn more about other cultural beauty standards.